Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well this morning. I did see the sunshine for a brief moment. I am hoping it blesses us with its presence again as the day continues. I wanted to share the phrase of the day today is let go of the grip. And I'm going to share a little story about my own health journey because it is something that I had to learn, and my mother as well. So I believe that through my journey with cancer, my mom and I both had to learn how to let go of the grip. And when I was in meditation this morning, that's what came to me that I need to share, because right now I believe is a great time for us to let go of the things that are not serving us, whether it's a job or relationship, friendship, situation, anything. We need to let go. Let go of the things that are not serving a greater good for us so that we can allow better things to come in. And the story that I want to share is that when I was diagnosed in 2016 with astrocytoma, it's a type of cancerous brain tumor, believe it or not, I wasn't really afraid. However, I had to let go of the feeling of, oh, I can control my health. You can't control your health. You can make wise decisions about eating good and exercising and doing what you need to do for your mind, body, and spirit. But it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to not attract an illness at some point, whether it's a head cold or something worse. And so while I was shocked that I was diagnosed with that, as well as my whole family and friends, I had to make the best of it. So relinquish your control, which I really think I was more controlling in the past than I had been at that time, and even now. So, of course, when I was diagnosed, her mom instincts kicked in. She did everything she could to tap into her knowledge and her wisdom and find me the best surgeon. And I'm so grateful because I wouldn't have known what to do or who to turn to or anything. And even though, yes, it is my control, my health, not my control, but my decisions are in my hands. I was just like, Mom, I trust you. You do what you need to do, because she had more knowledge and wisdom than I did. And we have a doctor in the family, so it was good for her to take that charge and do what she needed to do for me. However, there is a fine line where we have to trust our own instincts and our own gut. We all have that, whether you're spiritual or not. We all have gut instincts. We all have that survival mode. What kicks in when we're in danger and we need safety, or if you're around a certain person that makes you feel off and you need to get away from them. We all have that. And you can practice and grow and learn how to trust it more. And we all have to do that. And this is a good time to do that while we're isolated at home, especially if you're not working out of the house. Or if you have shorter shifts, take some time and work on yourself. Learn how to trust your instincts and always go with them, because that's your higher power. That's your divine guidance trying to show you what you need to do, what is best for you. And letting go of the grip is one of the best things we can do to allow that higher power to help us. Whether you believe in God, angels, your higher self, whatever you want to call it, source energy, it's there. It's trying to tell you through signs that you see with your physical eyes, through signs that you hear, and just your stomach. Your stomach is a big indication that something is wrong or right. So please trust it. So getting back to my journey, once I had the surgery, everything was great. I was very happy with the surgeon. I got to come home very soon after surgery, and it was odd that I got to come home because they had to actually do a C cut in the top of my head. And as long as I passed the rehab, like walking up the steps and down the hall and lifting things, I could go home. So I remember hearing my boyfriend say, she's not going home yet because she needs to be here to heal. And I was like, whatever. I gave up my control, you know. I was just going with whatever they felt was important for me, because this was a health issue I had never even heard of. It is a very rare form of cancer. So go with the flow. That was my motto. Just keep going. And I did stay at the hospital, and I got let out. It was less than 48 hours. And I recovered at my mom and dad's house because my mom wanted to take care of me. And it was good, but I wanted to be home. I wanted to be home where my pets and my kids were. And it was a big growing pain for all of us because my daughter was too little to reach the glasses in the cabinet. And we had to learn to keep things down for her because I needed to rest. And she was at the point still where she was relying on me a lot to get things for her. So I remember I wasn't allowed to drive. I wasn't allowed to drive for over a year. So my rides were my mom and dad, my boyfriend, and my friend Heather. And I'm forever grateful for them because they got me to where I needed to be. And I remember driving to the hospital as the passenger, and I loved my radiologist. I loved my surgeon. I loved the nurse that was taking care of my case, is what they called it. But my oncologist was not warm and fuzzy. I did not get a good feeling from her, and I was still trying very hard to go with the flow, and my mom was sitting there taking notes and making sure that I remembered everything that I needed to remember. And I knew that I was starting a journey of 6 weeks of chemo and radiation. And I wasn't looking forward to it, but you know what? Here we go. Let's bring it on. We'll get through this too. And I got through that. Was done, I want to say December 23rd of 2017. So I was home in time for Christmas, and very thankful that part of my journey was over. However, I still had to go for MRIs every 3 months and deal with my oncologist, who I felt sick to my stomach every time I had to go there. And she was very black and white, and I am a very gray. There's gray. It's not just black and white. And so she just made me feel like if I did not do her regimen, what she wanted me to do, that I was not going to survive. Now, this type of cancer is treatable but not curable. So typically the statistics, which I say I am not a statistic, the cancer will come back between 3 and 6 years, sometimes later. We have, my mom had met a woman who lost her husband to this cancer, and he survived 20 years without it returning and did not pass away till he was in his 60s. So that made me feel really good. And I already have faith. It's in God's hands. It's not in my hands. Whenever I'm called to go home, I'm called to go home. And I'm fine with that. I have no fear of death. Suffering, yes. Death, no. So moving forward with my story, I started to see, I wasn't trusting my gut. I wasn't speaking up to my mother and saying, I don't like her. I don't want to go there. You know, I was just, like I said, I was just going with the flow. But I do know that my mom could feel that I was not comfortable going there. And no warm and fuzzy feelings from her whatsoever, this oncologist. And so when I started going there, I saw these red flags. And I'm not talking in my mind. I'm talking seriously red flags alongside of the highway, the hospital, all the way leading to that doctor's office. And I kept thinking to myself, I feel like those are for me. Like, those are for me. I'm supposed to be looking at them and seeing them like a big neon sign saying something needs to change. And as I discussed this with my friends, they're like, you're crazy. That's just UGI or PPNL. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. My gut, when I would see them, would say, those are your red flags. And I'm sure they were there for other people too, who were just ignoring them, like my mom and everybody else that drove past them every time we went, because we had to go Monday through Friday. And I'm telling you, it was getting stronger. This feeling was getting stronger and stronger. And I thought, they're for me. They are for me. It is a big spiritual sign that I have to let go of this fear of speaking up to my mom and saying, listen, I know you're trusting your gut. You're trusting your higher power. Maybe, maybe not. I think she was coming from a place of fear and being my mom. And I get it, because I feel like I could be like that with my children as well. But man, when I finally went on vacation, I thought, you know what? I'm going away. This woman wanted me to start chemo when my MRI came back with a tiny little spot that wasn't there before, after the surgery and stuff. And my gut was like, you don't need it. You do not need the chemo. And it was making me sick. I was throwing up in my bed. I couldn't sleep because it made me so nauseous. And I thought, this isn't for me. Well, and it actually got to this point where I was like, am I even supposed to be doing the chemo? And of course, you mentioned that, and your family's like, oh no, you have to. It's what's going to cure you and keep you here. And I'm thinking, there are so many people I know that opted not to have the treatment, and they're still here. So I was really having a hard time making the best decision for me, because I was listening to the outside influences and also feeling their fear. It wasn't my fear. It was their fear. I was just afraid of making the wrong decision for myself. So I finally had a conversation with a different, actually it was my friend's husband is an oncologist for a different hospital. And she was keeping up with my story, and she said, my husband doesn't understand why you're going back on chemo. If you're on it and it's coming back, then obviously it's not working. And then I find out that there's something called radiation necrosis, which is actually scar tissue. But when you do an MRI, you cannot tell if it's scar tissue or if it's a tumor. So immediately, my oncologist was like, we're putting you back on this chemo medicine. And I said, no, I'm not doing it right now. I'm going on vacation. I will make a decision for when I come back. And I remember going away, taking my daughter and her friend and Jay to, we went to the beach for a couple days. And I remember the kids going up to get changed into their bathing suits, and Jay and I sitting at the table. This was my birthday also. And I said, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to go back there. I don't want to go through with this. I do not feel like my quality of life was good. I did not feel like this doctor had any compassion. I was just a number. And nobody wants to feel like that. So as we sat there and talked about it and had some, tears and emotional moments, because this is my life we're talking about, he said, you have to do what's best for you. So I made a phone call. I called a different oncologist, the one that my girlfriend had recommended. And I didn't tell anybody. Jay was the only one that knew. And also my friend who recommended her husband's office. And I made the appointment for when I was to return from vacation. I called the old office and got all my papers and everything that I needed for this new oncologist. And when Jay and my mom and I went to this new oncologist, it was like a ray of sunshine. When he walked in the door, his face lit up. He was so happy to see everybody. It was totally different than what I was experiencing at the other place. And I was so grateful that my mom was open to me changing. I wasn't really going to let her not let me change, because it is my journey. It is my life. And I know she wants to do the best for me, like any mom wants to do for their children. So I remember being very nervous, telling my mom, I'm not going back. Nope, not happening. We're going somewhere else. And I explained to her what this doctor had been telling his wife while we were conversing about what my original oncologist was telling me to do. And the best thing is I had my MRI, and when the new oncologist came in, he had a big smile and he said, "So do you want to see it?" Which my oncologist, the old oncologist, never showed me a picture of my MRI, and I never even thought to ask. And he said, we waited 3 months, and he said it went away. So obviously it was scar tissue. And I was like beyond ecstatic to hear him say that and say, if you would have went on chemo medicine and it would have went away, your old oncologist would have thought it was cancer again. So he said, I'm glad that you trusted yourself to not take the medicine and to let some time pass so we could see if it was seriously what he was thinking. And I remember everybody crying and everybody being so happy. And I was like, oh, if I would have just trusted my gut and let go of that need to allow somebody else or other people to influence my decisions, maybe I wouldn't have even had to have the surgery I had. But said and done, and I wouldn't change it because everything is going very well. So with that in mind, you really, really want to trust your instincts. Trust that inner knowing, because all of our knowledge comes from within. And if you're not going to take the time to quiet your mind and feel your feelings, you're not going to know what to do, and you are going to trust other people to guide you on your journey. And honestly, I love my mother, I love my family, but I'm the only one that's in charge of my health. And I know it was a hard lesson to learn for all of us, and I am eternally grateful for everything that everybody had done for me at that time and continues to do to support me through my journey, getting MRIs every 6 months now. And it's very important for me to pass on that message that if I would have kept going to my old oncologist and I didn't pay attention to those red flags, whether they were there for me or, electricity or whatever, gas lines, they were spiritually there for me because I needed to pay attention. It's like that you ask for a sign. Well, there it is. If you're not going to follow through with it, then they're going to show you in a different way. And sometimes it's not always pleasant. It's throwing up in your bed. You're not supposed to be taking this medicine. Okay, well, I feel like I have to. Why did I feel like I had to? Because I wanted to heal. I wanted to be here. I wanted my parents to not have fear. And I'm telling them, I'm taking my medicine. This is the side effect. I'm not feeling well. But they're like, you have to do it anyway. Suck it up, And so I did. And I am glad that I did. But now that I am really in full force of trusting my own instincts, things are a lot better for me, which also in return makes things better for everybody who's in my life. So let go of that grip, trust a higher power, because if you're holding tightly on to something, you're not going to have the hands free to allow better to come in. And I'm not saying that you need to just break off that relationship or change your jobs, like quit. No, you don't want to do that. There's a regimen you have to kind of follow, steps you have to take, baby steps sometimes, and sometimes it can be really slow. I remember having a turtle appear to me a lot in my dreams, and even out in the world when I would be out watching TV, I'd see turtles all the time. And when I finally thought, oh, I think that might be a sign for me, and I looked up the meaning of the turtle, and the meaning of the turtle was patience, endurance, longevity, especially during hard times. And that's exactly what I was going through. And the turtle was there for me that whole time to remind me that I have to have patience. And that's what this whole world is going through right now. If a turtle is speaking to you, know that it's telling you this will pass. We have to work on our endurance and know that better times are coming. Just trust your instincts, and during this time, let go. Let go of that grip. OCD people are going to have a really hard time with this because they, in their minds, really think they have control over a lot. And we really don't. We have control over our decisions and our actions and reactions, and that's pretty much it. So stop placing blame on everybody else and start working on you. It's hard sometimes, but it is so worth it. And I'm here to tell you that I am cancer-free, and I have no idea what my journey would have been like if I would have stayed where I was comfortably uncomfortable, if that makes sense. So I wish you a very good day, and please leave your comments and your feedback if you would like to, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Blessings to you all.